Hi, my name is Lamise, and this semester I've been doing an internship at the Climate Change Institute at ANU as part of the SCOM3004 course. So the Climate Change Institute at ANU aims to foster a sort of interdisciplinary, collaborative community amongst the researchers and teachers at ANU and help contribute towards creating solutions and then enacting these solutions towards climate change by connecting the private sector with the community, with the government. My main supervisor at the Climate Change Institute was Rebecca Colvin, but I also worked quite closely with Mark Howden, the director there, and Claire Di Castella, the communications officer. So my project at the Climate Change Institute was split into two parts. The first part was creating an article for The Conversation that was based on the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's special report on 1.5 degrees, which was the target set at the Paris Climate Agreement. This article is essentially a synthesis of the report for a general audience, so not specifically for experts, just for the target audience of the conversation. The second part of my project is a climate change communications guide, which is based on the best practice as has been outlined in the literature. It's going to be a sort of simple go-to guide for people who need to communicate climate change science, just something they can refer to as they're doing it. So I've learned a lot throughout this internship. Some of it's just been general information about climate change and communication itself as I've been researching. But also I've learned so much about just being in the workplace and actually implementing the skills that I've learned at university. So obviously I faced a few challenges throughout the internship as well. One of these straight up was that the project we initially had in mind was just far too big. So initially we were going to start with a literature review of climate change communication and what the literature says about it. But this is a huge topic, and to do this as well as the article and as well as the synthesis was just a little bit too much. So early on I realised that we could be biting off more than we could chew, and I flagged this with Beck and Will Grant, and they both agreed, and as such we made adjustments to the project. Another one of the challenges I've faced is essentially just learning how to synthesize information. So in both cases, for the IPCC report and for the simple climate change communication knowledge, there is so much information that needs to be synthesized into something relatively small. So for the article about the IPCC special report, I based it on the executive summaries within each of the chapters of the report. So the executive summaries are summaries of each chapter, and they put them at the start. And these are quite condensed, so it's generally about 3 to 5 pages of very condensed information from the chapter. And for each of the 5 chapters, I had to go through, pick out what I thought was important, put this all into a doc, and then again synthesize that even more to put it into the around 1,000 word article that I then had to create. As I've gone throughout the internship, I guess one thing that's really highlighted to me is that good communication is so important, and especially within a field such as climate change, it really can make all the difference. I think putting an emphasis on high quality communication just can achieve great results, and within climate change it could make all the difference between us addressing it adequately and avoiding as much of the impacts as we possibly can.